The rain hammered the windshield like accusations as Elena gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white against the black leather. She'd driven 3 hours straight from the family home in suburban Chicago, the backseat piled with trash bags stuffed with clothes that still smelled like her mother's lavender detergent. But freedom? That word tasted like ash now, because the call from Aunt Rita had come just as the skyline blurred into view. "We're doing this for your soul, Lena. The center will help you see straight." She slammed on the brakes at the edge of a nondescript parking lot in Evanston, the kind of place that blended into the North Shore's quiet affluence, white clapboard buildings with manicured lawns hiding whatever sins they could. The safe house loomed ahead, a converted Victorian with lace curtains that mocked her with their domestic normalcy. Elena's phone buzzed again, a text from her sister. "Mom's praying for you. Don't fight it." Fight it? She'd spent 24 years fighting herself, burying the flutter in her chest every time Riley from high school band brushed past her, or the way her pulse raced at the indie film festival when that barista with the crooked smile handed over her latte. Coming out last month had been a crack in the dam, a desperate gasp after Dad found the journal under her mattress. "You're confused," he'd said, voice cracking like old floorboards. "We'll fix this before it ruins you." Now here she was, 17 and adrift, the car idling as 2 women in pastel cardigans approached, volunteers from the center, their smiles as polished as the pamphlets they'd mailed. "Elena? Welcome home," one said, extending a hand that Elena ignored. She grabbed her bags instead, slinging them over her shoulder like armor, and followed them up the flagstone path. The door clicked shut behind her with a finality that echoed in her bones. Inside, the air smelled of chamomile tea and faint Lysol, walls lined with framed Bible verses and success stories, from lost to found. 1 year sober from sin. Her stomach twisted. This wasn't home. This was exile. The intake room was a converted parlor, all floral wallpaper and overstuffed chairs. A counselor named Marjorie sat across from her, clipboard in hand, her bob haircut as severe as her gaze. "We're here to guide you back to God's design, Elena. No judgments, just truth." Elena stared at the carpet, tracing the faded roses with her eyes. Truth? Her truth was the ache that had bloomed in middle school, watching girls in gym class change with a secrecy that mirrored her own. It was the stolen glances at college orientation last fall, before she dropped out to appease her parents' dreams of a proper future. "I don't need fixing," she muttered, but Marjorie's pen scratched on, noting her resistance phase. Upstairs, her room was a cell disguised as coziness. Twin bed with a quilt, a desk, a window barred with ornate iron that let in slivers of gray sky. She unpacked mechanically, folding shirts that would never feel right again without the chaos of her old life. Dinner was a communal affair in the dining hall, 10 women around a long oak table, heads bowed for grace. Whispers floated like smoke, stories of husbands abandoned, daughters shunned, the weight of choice pressed into them like handprints in clay. Elena kept her head down, fork pushing peas around her plate, until a voice cut through the murmur. "You the new one? The runner?" It came from across the table, low and edged with something sharper than curiosity. Elena looked up into eyes the color of storm clouds, framed by a face that could have graced magazine covers if not for the bruise blooming faint purple along her jawline. The woman girl, really maybe a year older, leaned forward, elbows on the table, her tank top revealing tattoos that snaked like secrets up her arms. "I'm Jordan. And yeah, I bolted once. They caught me at the bus station. Lesson learned. Run smarter next time." The room hushed, forks pausing midair. Marjorie cleared her throat from the head of the table. "Jordan, that's not helpful. We're building community here, not plotting escapes." But Jordan just smirked, holding Elena's gaze like a challenge. In that moment, amid the clink of silverware and the drone of a hymn playing softly from hidden speakers, something stirred in Elena. A spark, dangerous and alive. She didn't smile back, but she didn't look away either. Not yet. That night, Elena lay awake, the quilt pulled to her chin against the chill seeping through the window. The house creaked like it was alive, settling into its role as warden. Down the hall, she heard muffled sobs, then silence. Her mind raced back to the fight, the shatter of her mother's Waterford vase against the wall, Dad's bellow of "This isn't us." As if her heart was a betrayal of their bloodline. They'd called it love, this intervention. Flying Aunt Rita in from Ohio, the pastor's visit with his leather-bound Bible, the ultimatum that ended with her keys confiscated and the car loaned to transport her to healing. Healing. The word mocked her as she traced the bar's shadows on the ceiling. What if this was the real cage? Not the house but the fear gnawing at her edges. She rolled over, punching the pillow, and whispered to the dark, "I won't break." Morning brought routine like a straitjacket. Group therapy at 8, where women shared testimonies of their struggles, voices trembling as they recounted suppressed urges or failed marriages. Elena sat in the circle, knees drawn up, listening to a woman named Carla describe her wife's pleading eyes before the divorce papers. "I chose God over her," Carla said, tears streaming. "And now I have peace." Did she? Elena wondered, studying the way Carla's hands twisted in her lap, knuckles raw from prayer. When it was her turn, she said nothing, just shook her head. Marjorie noted it down. Afternoons were affirmation walks in the fenced backyard, gravel paths winding past rose bushes that bloomed defiantly red. Jordan fell into step beside her on the first lap, breath even despite the incline. "They think fresh air fixes the soul," she said, kicking a pebble. "Like we're weeds to be weeded out." Elena glanced at her, noting the way sunlight caught the scar above her eyebrow, a thin white line like a question mark. "What happened?" she asked, surprising herself. Jordan's laugh was bitter, short. "Ex-boyfriend. The one they paraded me to after I confessed to my folks. Said it'd cure me. It didn't. He got mad when I wouldn't play along." She touched the scar absently. "You? Fresh meat, huh? What did they catch you doing? Holding hands at prom?" Elena flushed, heat rising in her cheeks. "Journal. And a kiss. With my roommate last semester." The words hung between them, heavy as humidity. Jordan nodded, no judgment in her eyes, just a flicker of recognition that made Elena's chest tighten. They walked in silence after that, the fence posts marching like sentinels, but for the first time since arriving, Elena didn't feel utterly alone. By week 2, the safe house's rhythm had worn grooves into her days. Scripture study where verses twisted like knots around her wrists, mentorship sessions, with Marjorie drilling questions about her triggers. Elena answered in monosyllables, her rebellion quiet but building. Jordan became her shadow, slipping notes under doors, "Meet me in the laundry room after lights out. Bring contraband snacks." The first time, Elena hesitated, heart pounding as she crept down the hall in socks. The basement smelled of detergent and damp concrete, washers humming like distant thunder. Jordan was there, perched on a dryer, a pilfered candy bar in hand. "Chocolate," she said, breaking it in half. "The real forbidden fruit." They ate in the blue glow of a bare bulb, knees brushing accidentally at first, then not so much. Jordan talked then, about her life before, a barista gig in Seattle, gigs with her band that ended when her parents saw a photo of her kissing the drummer. "They shipped me here like luggage. Said it was temporary. That was 6 months ago." Her voice cracked on the last word, and Elena reached out, impulsive, her hand covering Jordan's. Warm. Steady. The touch lingered, electric, until footsteps echoed above and they sprang apart like guilty children. Back in her room, Elena pressed her palm to her cheek, chasing the ghost of that warmth. It was wrong, she knew. The center's walls screamed it, the daily devotions hammered it home. But in the quiet hours, doubt crept in. Was this love or just desperation? The line blurred, and with it, the bars on her window seemed a little less solid. The confrontation came on a Thursday, rain lashing the panes like it had the night she arrived. Family visiting hours were sacred, a weekly ritual where relatives arrived with hopeful eyes and takeout from Panera. Elena's mother showed up alone, Dad too busy with work, her coat dripping as she clutched a photo album. They sat in the sunroom, ferns framing the scene like a stage set for tragedy. "Lena, baby," Mom started, voice thick. "We miss you. The house feels empty without your laugh." Elena sipped weak tea, the album open to pictures of Christmases past, her in red velvet, smiling for the camera. "It's not empty, Mom. It's just honest now." The words slipped out, sharper than intended. Mom's face crumpled. "This place is helping you." Marjorie called, said you're resisting. "Why? We love you. We just want the daughter we raised." "The daughter you raised is still here," Elena said, closing the album with a snap. "She's just me." All of me. Mom's hand trembled as she reached across the table. It's a phase. Sin whispers but God shouts. Remember Auntie's wedding? You were the flower girl. That's your path. Husband, kids, church picnics. Elena pulled back, the chair scraping like a scream. My path isn't yours to pave. And locking me here? That's not love. That's fear. The door opened then, Marjorie hovering like a chaperone at a dance. Time's up, Mrs. Vasquez. Mom stood, tears carving tracks through her makeup. Pray, Lena. For both of us. She left with a hug that felt like goodbye, the scent of Chanel lingering like a ghost. Elena retreated to the garden, rain soaking her through, until Jordan found her huddled under the gazebo. Rough one? She asked, draping her hoodie over Elena's shoulders. It smelled like her citrus and smoke. Elena nodded, words failing as sobs took over. Jordan pulled her close, arms a fortress against the storm. No kisses, no promises, just presence. And in that hold Elena felt the first real fracture in the cage. Not anger but a quiet, terrifying hope. Weeks blurred into a haze of enforced normalcy, the safe house's calendar marking time with color-coded events. Blue for Bible study, green for reparative counseling, red for relapse prevention. Elena navigated it like a minefield, her smiles practiced, her silences strategic. Jordan's presence was the thread pulling her through. Stolen moments in the linen closet, where they'd whisper dreams of cities beyond the fence. Portland's rainy streets, New York's pulse, anywhere but this suffocating piety. One evening, after a particularly grueling session where Marjorie dissected Elena's attachment issues with clinical detachment, she found Jordan in the attic storage room, sifting through dusty boxes of forgotten donations. Look what I found, Jordan said, holding up a battered acoustic guitar, strings intact. Her eyes lit up like she'd unearthed gold. My old band's axe. Or close enough. Elena watched as Jordan tuned it by ear, fingers calloused and sure, plucking notes that hung in the air like fragile birds. Play something, Elena urged, settling on an old trunk amid mothball-scented linens. Jordan hesitated, glancing at the door. They'd confiscate it. Call it a trigger. But she strummed anyway, soft chords building into a melody that was half lullaby, half rebellion. A song about roads not taken, lovers left in rearview mirrors. Her voice was gravel and honey, low enough to vibrate in Elena's chest. When she sang of hearts locked in Sunday dresses, chasing ghosts in the confessional, tears pricked Elena's eyes. It was their story, unspoken but shared. The song ended on a lingering note, and silence wrapped around them like a blanket. Jordan set the guitar down, her hand brushing Elena's knee. You ever think about what we'd do out there? If we made it? Elena swallowed, the what-ifs a tangle in her throat. I'd go back to school. Art history, maybe. Paint what I feel instead of hiding it. Jordan's smile was wistful. I'd busk in the subways. Write songs that don't censor the ache. Their fingers laced then, tentative, the touch a question and an answer. In that attic with dust motes dancing in the slant of light, Elena leaned in, forehead to Jordan's, breaths mingling. It wasn't a kiss but it was close. Enough to ignite the fear she'd been dousing for weeks. Downstairs the dinner bell rang, pulling them back to reality. But the seed was planted, rooting deep. The next day, during free time in the library, a stuffy room of dog-eared devotionals and outdated encyclopedias, Elena overheard Marjorie on the phone in the adjoining office. Yes, the new girl's progressing slowly. Jordan's influence is concerning. She's a recidivist, you know. We may need to separate them. The words landed like punches. Separate? The house already felt like a pressure cooker. This would be the lid slamming shut. That night, in the laundry room confessional, Elena confronted Jordan. They're watching us. Talking about splitting rooms. Jordan's face hardened. The bruise from weeks ago faded but the wariness etched permanent. Let them try. I've got a plan. She pulled a folded paper from her pocket, a hand-drawn map of the grounds, escape routes marked in pencil, loose board in the fence by the oak tree, service road to the highway. Volunteers leave the back gate unlocked during trash runs. Tuesdays 10 p.m. We go then. Elena's heart raced, a mix of thrill and terror. What about money? Clothes? My family's cut me off. Jordan shrugged, but her eyes betrayed the bluff. I've got $50 stashed from craft sales. We hitch to the city, crash with a contact from my old scene. It's not perfect, but it's out. The plan unspooled in whispers. Steal food from the pantry, pack light, signal with 3 taps on the radiator if ready. It sounded reckless, born of desperation. But in Jordan's voice, it carried the weight of survival. As they parted, Jordan cupped Elena's face, thumb tracing her jaw. This isn't just running, Lena. It's choosing. Elena nodded, the word echoing. Choosing her them a life unscripted. But doubt whispered too. What if they got caught? The center had ties to local police. Stories circulated of girls dragged back in cuffs. Therapy intensified with isolation rooms. And her family, would they ever forgive? Or was forgiveness just another cage? The following Tuesday loomed like a guillotine. Elena spent the day in a fog, her affirmations in group reduced to rote phrases. I am worthy of God's plan. But her mind mapped the route, rehearsed the steps. At supper, she caught Jordan's eye across the table, a nod passing like a vow. Afterward, in the hush of evening devotions, Elena's phone privileges, rare and supervised, brought a call from home. Dad, this time, voice gruff over the line. Your mother's not eating, Lena. This rebellion, it's killing us. Come home and we'll forget it all. Therapy on our terms, but family first. The offer dangled, seductive in its familiarity. Home. Sunday roasts, her old room with the posters she'd have to tear down. But forget? The kiss with her roommate, the journal's raw confessions. They were etched in her, indelible. I can't, Dad. Not like that. Silence stretched. Then his sigh, heavy as defeat. Then you're choosing strangers over blood. Don't call when it falls apart. Click. Elena hung up, the receiver cold in her hand, tears blurring Marjorie's watchful face. 9 p.m. The house settled, lights dimming to night mode. Elena lay rigid, counting minutes, the radiator silent. No taps yet. 10 minutes. 20. Her pulse thrummed. Had Jordan backed out? Or worse, caught? She slipped from bed, robe over pajamas, and padded to the hall. Empty. Down to the kitchen, shadows long and accusatory. The pantry door creaked open. Canned goods stared back untouched. Panic clawed up her throat. A hand clamped her shoulder. She whirled, stifling a gasp. Jordan, wild-eyed, backpack slung low. Change of plans. Guard dogs loose tonight. We wait for the shift change, midnight. Relief flooded Elena, followed by a wave of something deeper. Trust, frayed but holding. They huddled in the walk-in pantry, shoulders pressed, sharing a pilfered apple in the dark. Jordan's breath was warm on her neck. Scared, she murmured. Terrified, Elena admitted. But alive. Jordan's laugh was soft, a release. That's the point. Midnight crept in, marked by the clock's toll. They moved then, ghosts through the back door, across the dew-slick lawn to the oak. The board gave with a splintery groan, and they were through, fence-scraping knees, hearts pounding. The service road stretched black and empty, taillights of a distant semi the only promise of motion. They ran, bags bouncing, lungs burning, until the safe house shrank to a speck. At the highway ramp, Jordan stuck out a thumb, and a trucker in a flannel shirt pulled over, beard grizzled, eyes kind in the dash light. Chicago, he grunted. Hop in. The cab smelled of diesel and coffee, radio crooning country ballads about lost loves. Elena leaned against Jordan, their hands clasped under the map on the seat, the world blurring past at 70 miles an hour. Dawn broke over the loop, skyscrapers clawing the sky like ambitions. The trucker dropped them at a Greyhound station, tipping his cap. Good luck, ladies. Inside, the terminal buzzed with transients. Families, hustlers, dreams deferred. Jordan bought tickets with her stash. One way to Milwaukee, a cousin's couch as lifeline. As the bus lurched forward, Elena watched Chicago recede. The safe house a memory etched in rain and resolve. But in the seat's vinyl embrace, Jordan's head on her shoulder, she wondered. Was this freedom or just the first step into a bigger storm? The bus hit traffic outside the state line, sirens wailing in the distance. Elena stirred, Jordan's fingers still entwined with hers. We made it, she whispered. Jordan smiled in sleep, but Elena's gut twisted. A call from an unknown number had buzzed her burner phone. Marjorie's voice, clipped. We know you're gone. Come back, Elena. Before it's too late. Too late for what? The question lingered as the skyline shifted north. the road ahead curving into unknowns. Milwaukee greeted them with a chill wind off Lake Michigan, the kind that sliced through thrift store jackets and carried the tang of industry. Jordan's cousin Mia lived in a walk-up in Bayview, a neighborhood of breweries and murals that felt like a half-step from the cage they'd fled. Mia was a tattoo artist with a buzz cut and a hug that crushed ribs. Her apartment a riot of ink sketches and half-finished canvases. "Crash as long as you need," she said over takeout pierogies, eyes flicking between them with knowing warmth. "But jobs. This ain't a hotel." Elena woke the next morning to the sizzle of bacon. Sunlight slanting through blinds cracked like her resolve. Jordan was already up, sketching lyrics on a napkin, her focus a quiet storm. Over coffee black, no frills, they plotted survival. Elena scanning Craigslist for barista gigs, Jordan hitting open mics for tips. "We'll make it," Jordan said, but the crease between her brows betrayed the math she'd done in her head. $50 gone, rent looming in 2 weeks. Elena's first interview was at a coffee shop near Marquette University, the air thick with espresso and undergrad ambition. The manager, a wiry guy named Tim with a man bun, eyed her resume spotty with the college dropout glaring like a red flag. "You got passion?" he asked, leaning on the counter. Elena thought of the Safe House's weak tea, the way Jordan's songs had tasted like rebellion. "More than that, I've got hunger." He hired her on the spot, starting shifts that blurred into a rhythm of steam wands and small talk, tips jingling in her apron like tentative hope. Evenings were theirs, stolen in Me's fire escape, city lights twinkling below like conspirators. Jordan's gigs were raw dive bars where smoke curled and crowds leaned in, her guitar weaving tales of fractured faith and forbidden touches. Elena watched from the shadows, heart swelling with each chord, until one night, after a set that hushed the room, Jordan pulled her on stage for an encore. "This one's for the girl who ran with me," she said, and launched into a melody soft as confession. The crowd faded. It was just them, Elena's hand in hers, the mic stand a barrier they ignored. When the last note died, applause erupted, but Elena heard only Jordan's whisper, "You're my muse." The kiss happened then, backstage in the green room, a storage closet reeking of stale beer. It was inevitable, a dam breaking after weeks of almosts, Jordan's lips tentative at first, then urgent, Elena's hands fisting in her shirt. It tasted of salt and certainty, a reclamation of what the center had tried to exorcise. They broke apart breathless, foreheads pressed, laughter bubbling up like relief. "Worth the wait," Jordan murmured. Elena nodded, the world tilting toward possibility. But shadows lengthened. A letter arrived a week later, forwarded from the Safe House, her parents' handwriting on the envelope, precise and unforgiving. Inside, a check for $500 and a note. "This is your last. Come home repentant or don't come home at all. We love you, but this path leads to ruin. Dad." Elena stared at the paper, the ink blurring as tears fell. Ruin. This, Jordan's arm around her, the hum of the city outside, was the first breath she'd taken without apology. She tore the check in half, but the pieces fluttered like doubts. Jordan found her on the fire escape, knees to chest, wind whipping her hair. "They wrote," she guessed, sitting close. Elena nodded, handing over the note. Jordan read it silent, then crumpled it. "Poison. Don't swallow it." But Elena's voice cracked. "What if they're right? What if this us is the ruin?" Jordan's grip tightened. "Ruin staying silent. Hiding. We've got each other now. That's the win. Work hardened them." Elena's feet aching after double shifts, Jordan's voice hoarse from late nights. Money trickled in, enough for ramen and bus passes, but tension simmered. Mia warned them over dinner one night. "Cops been asking around missing girls from that center. Watch your backs." The news landed like ice water. Missing? Or hunted? Elena's phone buzzed that night, block number, a voicemail from Aunt Rita. "Lena, we've filed reports. You're vulnerable out there. Let us bring you back." Sleep evaded her, nightmares of barred windows morphing into squad car lights. The next day at the coffee shop, a customer lingered. A woman in her 40s, sensible bob, eyes too sharp. "Elena Vasquez? From the Evanston Center." Elena froze, steamer wand hissing, forgotten. "Ah, yes." The woman slid a card across the counter. "Family Restoration Services. Your family's worried. Offered a ride home. No strings." Elena's laugh was brittle. Strings are all you have. But as the woman left, the card burned in her pocket like a summons. She told Jordan that evening, pacing Me's living room. The card waved like a flag of surrender. They found me. How? It's only been a month. Jordan's jaw set. We move. Madison's got a scene, better gigs, less heat. The plan formed fast. Pack light bus at dawn, Elena's next paycheck as seed money. But doubt festered. Was running sustainable? Or just delaying the inevitable confrontation? The bus to Madison was half empty. Dawn painting the windows pink. They sat in the back, hands linked, Jordan's head on Elena's shoulder. New start, she murmured. But Elena's mind raced. The check's promise of stability, her mother's voice in dreams pleading. At the station, a payphone call to her sister. Impulse, a crack in resolve. Lena? God, where are you? The relief in Sophia's voice was a hook. Safe. But, tell Mom I'm thinking. Jordan overheard, tension coiling. Thinking about going back? Her tone was even but eyes stormy. Elena recoiled. No. Just missing the pieces that weren't broken. The argument erupted in their new crash pad. A sublet in a student co-op, walls thin as paper. Pieces? This is us whole, Jordan shot back, voice rising. Or are you still buying their lie? Elena's temper flared. And you're what, fearless? Hiding behind songs while I pour coffee for scraps. Words flew like shrapnel. Selfish, scared, not enough. Jordan stormed out, doors slamming, leaving Elena in the echo. Hours ticked by, regret souring the air. Elena wandered the Ismail. Lake Monona's waves mocking her turmoil. Jordan returned at dusk, rain-soaked, eyes red. I get it. Family's a scar. They collapsed together. Apologies unspoken but mended in touches. Forgiving, fierce. But the rift lingered, a hairline fracture. Weeks in Madison stitched them closer. Elena waitressing at a farm-to-table spot. Jordan landing a bar residency. Their first real date. A picnic by the Capitol, cheese curds and stolen wine. Felt like defiance. Under string lights, Jordan proposed a pact. No looking back. Only forward. Elena sealed it with a kiss, the lake's ripple a vow. Yet the past clawed back. A news clipping Mia texted. Raid on the safe house, exposés on conversion abuses. Elena's name wasn't listed, but the guilt twisted. What of the women left behind? Carla's tears, the other's silences. We have to speak, she told Jordan one night, curled in bed. Not just run. Tell our story. Jordan stiffened. And risk them finding us? Dragging you back. The debate stretched, moral quicksand. Silence for safety or voice for the voiceless. The choice crystallized at Jordan's gig. A packed house at the Majestic. Mid-set hecklers, church types, pamphlets in hand, shouted slurs. Jordan faltered, then poured it into the mic. This song's for the cages we break. The crowd roared. Elena from the wings felt pride swell. Backstage she pulled Jordan close. That's it. We go public. Together. The decision was a spark, but the cost loomed. Families alerted, jobs jeopardized, the fragile life they'd built teetering. As they walked home, arms linked, Elena whispered. Worth it. Jordan's squeeze was answer enough. But in the quiet, doubt whispered. What price for truth? Public meant peril, but Elena and Jordan dove in headfirst. The co-op's communal laptop, their war room. They started small. An anonymous blog, Caged Voices. Posting essays on the safe house's hypocrisies. Marjorie's prayers laced with judgment, the isolation tactics disguised as care. Elena's words flowed raw. Painting the intake room's floral walls as a flower's tomb. Jordan's lyrics threading through like veins. Shares trickled in from queer forums, then surged, retweets from activists, comments, a chorus of solidarity and rage. The first interview came via email. A podcaster from Chicago Public Radio, voice warm over Skype. Your story's hitting nerves. Mind going on record? Elena's stomach nodded, Jordan's hand steady on her knee. Names too. The host paused. Anonymity's fine, but faces? That's impact. They debated late into the night, wine loosening tongues. They can't touch us here, Jordan argued. Madison's got protections. Elena wavered, visions of squad cars flashing. But the pod, airing to thousands, unleashed something fierce. Listeners flooded in. I was there. Thank you. Emboldened, they escalated. A zine at local queer events, Elena's sketches of barred windows beside Jordan's poems. At Outreach, the community center, they tabled, hands shaking as they handed copies. A woman approached, mid-30s, eyes haunted. "Carla," she said, voice a whisper. "From the house. You got out. How?" Hugs followed, stories exchanged in the center's lounge. Carla's tale a mirror. Divorced, shunned, rebuilding in therapy that actually healed. "Your words, they're giving me mine back." Elena's throat tightened. This was the awakening, ripple by ripple. But backlash brewed. Elena's boss at the restaurant pulled her aside after a slow lunch rush. Folks complaining. Religious types boycotting. "Can't have drama, kid." The "or else" hung unspoken. She quit on principle, stomach sinking as the Tills jingle faded to memory. Jordan's bar followed suit. Owner citing reputation risks. The residency yanked midweek. "Hate mail's coming," he grumbled, sliding her last check. They burned it in the sink that night. Flames licking the envelope's slurs. Sinners. Abominations. Money dried up fast. Me wired what she could, but rent loomed like a guillotine. Elena pawned her grandmother's locket, the one from Mom's letter, a relic of before, for $300. Jordan buskied on State Street, guitar case open to passersby, but tips were lean amid the chill. Nights they huddled under threadbare blankets, Elena tracing Jordan's tattoos like maps to better days. "We fight," Jordan said, but exhaustion etched her face, the spark dimming. The call came on a gray November afternoon. Elena's burner buzzing with Sophia's number. "Lena, please. Mom's sick, heart stuff. Doctors say stress. She needs you." The words gutted her, guilt a blade. Jordan listened silent as Elena paced. "Go," she said finally, voice steady but eyes shadowed. "Family's not the enemy." Elena booked a bus ticket that night, Chicago-bound, the seat beside her empty as Jordan's absence. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and regret. Mom's room a sterile cage of beeps and IVs. She looked small, gray hair limp, eyes lighting at Elena's entrance. "Baby." The hug was frail, bones under skin. Dad hovered in the corner, arms crossed, face a mask. "We saw the news. That blog. It's killing her." Elena pulled back, resolve hardening. "No. Hiding killed her. Me." The room thickened, Sophia mediating with tea trays. Over days, conversations cracked open. Mom's confessions of her own doubts. Dad's fear rooted in his father's sermons. "We thought we were saving you," he admitted, voice breaking. Discharge brought Elena home, the suburb unchanged. Leaf piles, minivans, the church steeple piercing the sky. She stayed a week, cooking meals, holding Mom's hand through checkups. Jordan's texts were lifelines. "Gig tonight. Thinking of you." But distance bred distance. Elena's days filled with family rituals, Jordan's with solo hustles. A video call one night caught Jordan mid-rehearsal. A new collaborator's arm slung casual over her shoulder. "Just a friend," she laughed, but Elena's chest ached, old insecurities flaring. Back in Madison, the rift widened. Jordan had sublet half the room to a touring musician, cash crunch forcing it. "It's temporary," she explained, but the space felt crowded, intimacies interrupted, arguments reignited. Elena accusing Jordan of pulling away, Jordan firing back about Elena's soft spot for home. "You went running back. What's that say?" The words cut deep. Elena storming to the lake, waves crashing like accusations. Betrayal? No, but the trade-off stung, voice raised, but at what cost to them? Carla resurfaced then, in Madison for a conference. Over coffee at the co-op, she shared her own breakthrough. Testifying at a state hearing on conversion bans. "You started this. Join me." Elena hesitated, Jordan's absence a weight. But the fire reignited. They rallied, Elena and Carla prepping briefs, Jordan penning a ballad for the event. Rehearsals mended them, music a bridge. On stage at the Capitol, Elena spoke, voice steady. "They locked my body, but my heart broke free. Don't let them cage yours." Applause thundered, lawmakers nodding. But in the wings, Jordan's kiss was fierce. "Proud," she whispered. Victory was Pyrrhic. Protests followed. Picket lines at the hearing, slurs scrawled on their door. A brick through the window one night, glass shattering like trust. Police came, sympathetic but slow. Hate crime but evidence? Jordan packed that dawn. "We can't stay." Portland, Mia says there's work. Elena froze. Another run? When do we stand? Jordan's eyes flashed. Standing gets you buried. I won't lose you to this. The ultimatum hung: go or stay. Elena chose stay for the fight, the women like Carla. Jordan chose go for survival, the dream of stages unbroken. Bags packed in silence, taxi idling below. This isn't goodbye, Jordan said, tears carving paths. It's space. The door closed, echo hollow. Elena sank to the floor, shards of glass glinting like regrets. Alone, the voice she'd found roared inward. Was love worth the fracture? Months ground on, Elena channeling grief into advocacy. Speaking tours, a book deal for caged voices. Jordan's albums charted indie lists, lyrics laced with their ghost. Letters crossed. Miss your laugh. Write more. But reunion brewed, a conference in Seattle, fate's cruel joke. Elena flew west, heart pounding, the panel on queer resilience her cover. Backstage, Jordan waited, older, sharper, arms open. Foolish girl, she teased, pulling Elena close. The kiss was homecoming, scars and all. But reconciliation demanded reckoning. Over diner coffee they dissected the split. Elena's rooted fight, Jordan's wandering heel. I ran because staying hurt too much, Jordan admitted. You stayed because running would. Trade-offs laid bare, they rebuilt tentative. Shared tours, co-written chapters. Yet the scar pulsed. Family's tentative thaw. Elena's mom's letters now laced with questions, not condemnations. A call from Sophia shattered the fragile peace. Dad's stroke sudden. Elena flew east again, Jordan insisting on coming. The hospital vigil was a crucible. Dad lucid in bursts, eyes pleading. Forgive me, he rasped. Elena did, tears hot. Jordan stood sentinel, her presence a quiet revolution. At the funeral weeks later, eulogies spoke of a man's quiet faith. Elena's was of his quiet change. Back west, they bought a tiny house in Olympia, rain-soaked but theirs. Roots and wings intertwined. But awakening's price echoed. Friends lost, trusts broken. The endless debate of fight versus flight. The house in Olympia settled around them like a sigh, walls painted sage green. Windows framing evergreens that whispered resilience. Elena's book launch packed a local bookstore. Jordan's guitar propping the door open. Her set weaving through signings like an underscore. Fans lingered, survivors sharing scars, allies pledging checks. Turning event into vigil. You gave us words, one said, hugging Elena tight. But in the green room aftermath, champagne fizzing flat, Jordan's quiet cut deeper. Pride's hollow without peace. Peace eluded. Elena's tours pulled her east monthly. Mom's health a tether now, gentle conversations evolving from pleas to ponderings. Tell me about her, Jordan. Does she make you laugh? Dad's absence lingered. His final letters tucked in a drawer. Apologies inked shaky. Jordan's music surged. A label deal, tours that crisscrossed coasts. But stage lights bred distance. Groupies' glances fueling Elena's old fears. Arguments flared anew, not overrunning but staying. You're always leaving, Elena accused, suitcase in hand for Chicago. And you're always waiting, Jordan countered, mic stand slamming. Betrayal struck subtle, a fan's tweet first. Jordan at an after-party, arm around a backup singer, caption coy. Elena saw it mid-flight, screen glowing accusatory in the dim cabin. Confrontation waited till homecoming. Airport pickup tense, Olympia's drizzle mirroring mood. It was nothing, Jordan insisted, bags thumping stairs. A photo. You know me. But Elena's voice rose raw. I know the pull, the escape in someone new. Like when you left. Jordan recoiled, hurt flashing. That again? I'm here. Fighting for us. The fight spilled over days, silences thicker than fog. Elena retreated to writing, chapters on moral crossroads now personal. The choice between trust and truth, love's cost and doubt. Jordan channeled it to song, demos echoing late. Lyrics of mirrors cracking under weight of what-ifs. Reconciliation came slow, therapy sessions in a waterfront office, queer affirming, no sermons. The counselor's questions peeled layers. What did leaving teach you, Jordan? That running circles back. And staying, Elena? That holding on hurts but letting go destroys. Healing demanded action. They co-founded a hotline, Voices Unbarred, linking exiles from centers like theirs. Counselors on call, legal aid looped in. Nights blurred into calls. A teen in Texas, voice quaking. A mom in Florida, reconciling faith and daughter. Each story a mirror, their own woven in training manuals. Carla joined the board, her testimony fueling grants. Momentum built, but so did threats. Hate mail escalating to slash tires, voices on lines veering vile. The breaking point arrived unannounced. A documentary crew from PBS, tipped by the blog's viral arc, "Your story's the thread." The director said over Zoom, eyes earnest. Raw, real, America needs it. Filming meant exposure. Faces on screens, safe house exposed, families dragged into frame. Elena hesitated, Jordan's hand cold in hers. "This ends the hiding," Elena pushed. "Or starts the hunt anew," Jordan warned, memories of bricks flashing. They signed on, cameras rolling in Olympia's living room. Unscripted talks of the escape, the split, the mending. Elena recounted the pantry whispers, Jordan the attic strums, tears real as rain. Mom even flew in, her interview a quiet bombshell. "I caged her from love gone wrong. Now I learned to open." Airing night approached, buzz electric. Previews trending, panels booked. Vigil eve, they walked the beach, waves gnashing pebbles. "Regrets?" Elena asked, salt air sharp. Jordan stopped, facing her. "Only if we stop now. This us the work. It's the price paid forward." The kiss was salt-stung, fierce, a seal on scars. The broadcast shattered ratings. Lines lighting up the hotline triple-fold. Protests erupted. Pickets at the safe house, lawsuits from survivors. But backlash bit. Jordan's label dropped her. Controversy clause invoked cold. Elena's book faced bans in red states. School boards decrying indoctrination. Personal toll mounted. Mom's health dipped again, stress's shadow. Sophia's wedding invite arrived. +1 a test. Through it they held. Jordan teaching songwriting workshops for at-risk youth. Elena keynoting at Pride marches. Intimacy rebuilt brick by brick. Date nights at hole-in-the-wall Takarius. Lazy Sundays with coffee and crosswords. Yet the core conflict pulsed. Awakening's double edge, voice amplifying pain as much as power. One spring morning, a letter from Marjorie, rehabbed, reformed, now an advocate. "You tore the cage. I help rebuild." Forgiveness? Elena pondered, sharing it over breakfast. Jordan nodded. Not absolution. Accountability. The cycle peaked at a national summit. Elena and Jordan headlining a plenary on queer family rifts. Crowd-wrapped. Q&A turned torrent. How do you forgive betrayers? A young woman, eyes wide. Elena glanced at Jordan. You don't always. But you choose who holds your future. Applause swelled, but backstage exhaustion crashed. Enough. Jordan asked, makeup smudged. Elena leaned in. Never. But together. Homebound, they drove the coast highway, windows down, wind a howl of release. The house welcomed, garden blooming defiant. That night, under quilts, Elena whispered dreams deferred. Kids maybe via donor, family on their terms. Jordan's laugh rumbled. Scary. Real. Morning brought a call, Carla. Pregnant with her wife's child. Your turn to aunt. Life layered on, conflicts ebbing to undercurrents. But the deepest wound, the moral maze of choices, lingered. Elena's journal filled. Was the run right or reckless? The split necessary or needless? Voice a salvation or a siren? Years folded, the hotline a network, their story textbook in psych classes. Mom visited, grandkids hypothetical no more. Adoption papers signed. A boy with Jordan's eyes in photos. Yet in quiet moments, Elena wondered aloud to Jordan, curled by the fire. Did we pay too much? Or not enough? Jordan's fingers traced her palm. The question's the point. Living it, not settling it. And so they did, flawed, fierce, free. But tell me, in the end, when love demands you shatter your world to save it, is the breaking worth the beautiful ruin?